Well, good afternoon, happy Friday, Pilot Mound fans, and welcome into another edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Very exciting times as we're now pretty much into the playoff season. As for the Buffaloes U18 male program, the Preps, they ended up making it in to the Tier 1 division. They're the 16th seed in and looking to shock the world coming up here in the postseason as they'll be playing in Group A, also known as Pool A, with RHA Kelowna, as well as Shawinigan, and also BWC Academy. So stiff competition for Pilot Mound, but man, what a progression it's been for Anthony Florentino's coaching staff and this program. It all starts tomorrow for the Buffaloes in Penticton, British Columbia, as that's the home of the CSSHL playoffs. And they start off by taking on the 1 seed in RHA Kelowna. Join me to talk about that to start things off, and all the other teams from around the academy is Gordie Tumilson. We're also going to be joined by Pilot Mound's general manager herself, in Nichole Collins, as she's going to talk about all 4 teams, her thoughts on them heading into the postseason, as she's confident, just to let you know that, and I absolutely love it. As there's also an announcement for a new team in Pilot Mound, which we'll discuss, myself and Gordie, as well as myself and Nichole, in the U17 division in the CSSHL. So plenty to talk about on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Gordie Tumilson joins the show first.
Gordie Tumilson joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, and we're going to start off a bit different today, Gordie, talking about expansion. It's official that Pilot Mound getting the second U17 team. You have the details in front of you. I, for some reason, can't find them, but it's official from what it looks like.
Well, being the really top-notch social media guy that I'm not, I get my stuff from Pilot Mount on Twitter. They're on Twitter, on all social media, so you'll be able to find the poster on there, and that's what I'm looking at, Graham. And it's basically it's just telling us that, yep, we've been accepted not only by Hockey Manitoba and Hockey Canada, but now that the CSSHL, the league that we play in, has accepted the team into its program. And I guess the team is a second level team. We have a prep team U17, coached by Rick McConnell and Danny Carls. And then we'll have a second team with kind of a feeder program and a place where kids who maybe can't quite get it out of U15 and they need another season of excellent training and whatnot, they get to move up to this team. So it's like a triple A team, I guess. And that's not
Yeah.
demeaning, by the way. It's a good program. Many of the schools now have this program, and it's going to be even more valuable, actually, as we find the new deal with the NCAA and Western Hockey League and all of that taking place and taking shape. That the Western Hockey League is going to be a younger league, and we're going to need more teams down below to help start feeding this program a little bit better. So it's a great thing for us. We've obviously done things right. That's the important part here. They don't give you teams just because you're a good guy. You're a good organization. That's why they give you another team or accept another team into the league. So we've done things right. We fit in, we look after the kids really well. That's important to the league and important to us and important to the players, of course, and the parents.
And of course, could potentially, before we know it, see another team added into the academy. That's in the works as well, as
Yeah.
that'll be coming more so down the line at this point. But as for this U17 program, in terms of what the next steps are now that it's official, in terms of from the recruiting side to look to bring in talent for this team.
Well, this is huge. It's exactly the same. Just add another team, and it might be a little bit easier because we get a lot of kids that maybe can't make our prep program, or our kids that are coming out of our U15 program haven't quite got there yet. So we're going to get a little bit more of an advantage to fill this particular kind of team a bit easier probably. The prep teams are always tough to fill because you're looking for the best top end talent you can find from somewhere. I've noted we've expanded our recruiting into the States and, of course, into Europe. So we're looking at those places. But besides getting recruitment and players, we've got to build some more dorm rooms for these kids and buy some more plates and utensils and whatnot to feed them. So yeah, so that's going to add another bunch of meals and probably well, it's another 20%. So we serve about 80,000 meals out of our kitchen during the school year for our players and coaches and whatnot. And so that's going to go up another 20%. So what did that? Another bunch of meals for our players and whatnot, about 15,000 or so. So there you go. We're going to be pretty close to 100,000 meals by the time this team gets into place from our wonderful chef and cook staff and people in our building. They're amazing. I don't know how they do it. I couldn't do it. I watch them do it, and I don't know how they do it. So good on Pilot Mountain to have a really good program that supports the players totally.
No doubt about that, and no doubt I've heard nothing but good things about the food. So, I mean,
Mhm.
players that come in are going to be fed well, they're going to be looked after well, and all the other great benefits that come along with it they'll receive too
Yep.
at Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy. But you mentioned Europe in terms of, scouting and stuff. You wanted to talk about, I think, one place in Europe in particular. Any updates on the scouting front overseas?
Yeah, thanks for letting me use the name Denmark. Denmark and the Czech Republic, Czechia. We've got a couple of local guys. Well, one local guy from Czechia who's going to school in Denmark, in Copenhagen or just outside, and then another guy that's from actually Denmark. We just landed him. In fact, Hector Kayer, and Hector's a player as well, playing in I think the U20 program there, and so was Matej Sevcik, who's been on our show here before. And so we've got two guys there doing a lot of scouting, and we've locked into some pretty neat kids. I won't tell you which teams they're playing on, but they're high-end players. We've just officially signed Marcus Holm, Holme, a big 6 foot 3, 200 pound centerman who's a national team prospect in Denmark. So we're starting to light up that lamp over there. Some wins on in terms of our signings. We've got another half a dozen guys that we're chasing, and then again another half a dozen of the female players that fit in nicely with our program. So we've kind of found a little bit of a niche in scouting, and where players are not being scouted quite as heavily, and so we've opened the door to Pilot Mound, and these two young fellows have made a great start for that. And in fact, we just this morning been talking about the Women's World Championships in on the west coast of Denmark, and there's that's when that happens in November, I guess, and we're expecting to be there as well to kind of have presence and continue our growth in our European scouting program.
The European market, like we've talked about, I don't know if I've said the word specifically, but in terms of how valuable that can be, seems like it's a valuable asset that continues to grow for Pilot Mountain, just in terms of having more and more European interests as time has gone along. There's been so many examples of players that we've talked about that have come from Europe as well, so they're also making impacts when they come to Pilot Mountain.
Sure, they are. And, we've got kids who have made their national team after they've come to us. And that's kind of the deal. They all want to play for their national team. And of course, the NHL sits there, or the pro leagues in Europe sit there. So they're interested in moving up whatever ladder they can. We may even open the door to some of the kids who want to go to junior. Because we're well situated with our friends in Manitoba Junior Hockey League. We're thinking of helping and assisting there wherever we can to get players not only to come to Pilot Mound, but to move up from Pilot Mound, or the older players that now exist already move from Europe to the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. Uh, Apparently, Canada has a pretty good hockey program, despite what some Canadians will say. We're still coveted as a place to play. American kids come to us. The European kids love coming to us. The one question we asked all of them, are you tough enough? Not because you want to fight, not because you want to be dirty or stupid, but are you tough enough to play in a tough country's main sport? And so the kids coming over, we know they're going to be tough enough. That's part of the deal. So it'll be lots of fun to see what we can generate over the next little while for hockey in Canada from Europe.
Well, I have my thoughts on some of the decision making that has gotten done in, I mean, my lifetime watching Canada at these main events, Corey.
Mhm.
But in terms of the passion for the sport, there seems to be really no place like it compared to Canada. And you're right. I mean, so many kids want to come and play here and without that dream of trying to make it as far as they can in this sport. We're going to talk specifics about the matchups that went down this past weekend for Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy. Coming up next on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast, we're going to throw it to a quick transition and come right back with myself and Gordie Tumilson. I just gotta blow my nose quickly.
Please do. Me too.
Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
Coaching staff, right,
Oh,
that has continued to build this program up until the point where they've reached another goal of theirs, which is make it into that Division One, Tier One
yeah.
championship bracket of playoffs. Will be tough. I mean, there's 16 teams that are in this side of the bracket, Gordy. But Pilot Mountain's proven to be a sleeper before. This team has gone out and shocked, I guess you could say, some of the folks in the hockey world before with that big win against Stansted College, all the way back in the East-West Challenge. But I mean, with how this team's been playing, with their belief in themselves, the old cliche goes, anything's possible come playoff time.
Well, there's an old sports movie called The Bad News Bears, and that was a baseball thing in the States 100 years ago when I was younger. We're going to be the Bad News Buffaloes when we go to Kelowna and take on. And we happen to be when you make the last playoff spot, you get to play the first team in the playoffs in the rankings. So we get to play the rink Kelowna, and that's a pretty special group there. I think that they could probably play in the dub. But nonetheless, they're a pretty good team, and hopefully we can surprise them by being, if not close, even winning the hockey game. We've gotten some, we've surprised a bunch of teams so far this year, and maybe the surprises will continue. Hold on to your hats. We begin this on March the 7th in Kelowna. So good luck to Anthony Mason and the rest of the boys going to the CSHL playoffs.
Well, we're 4 days away from that, of course, being March 3rd today. And yeah, looking forward to see what this Buffaloes group is able to do. A group that, has been quite impressive all season long for this Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy in their programs. As for the U15s, Gordie started off with a loss over the weekend, but finished off with two strong wins against the Notre Dame Hounds. Two one-goal wins, but all of these being battles, and the U15s showing that they'll play in close games heading into the most important time of the year.
Yeah, the interesting. We won the third game. I think it was 4-3. But the first two games, the losing team scored 5 goals in both games. Notre Dame got an empty netter in the seventh, when a 7-5 win, and we scored a 6-5 win in the second game. So, it's that's been a great battle all year long. They've gone at each other. It's been, I think, probably almost a split. Maybe a little bit in favor of us, but certainly it's been close all year long. So good on us to be winning 2 out of 3, and looking forward to shortly down the road playing in our first playoff round. I think we start our playoffs on March the 10th in Kelowna. So got a 10-day window or 7-day window to kind of shape up, and then we ship out the 2-day bus ride, and bingo, off we go. And we're going to knock off some teams in Kelowna.
Speaking of Notre Dame, they're in Pilot Mountain's pool in the U15 prep
Yeah.
div. Is Pilot Mountain missing out on the championship side of the playoffs there in the Div 1 bracket? They're in the Div 2 side of things, where they're going to be the second seed. So a great opportunity for this group that has showed a lot of promise this year as they've gone along with Colin Farr and, of course, Brad Platt.
Yeah, I mean, the coach has done a great job again, and to get them to the top end of the Division Two group is always a good thing. And we won the thing last year, and why not win it again this year? We've got a good hockey team there, and they're well coached. They're certainly in good shape, and they've come off a couple of wins. They're feeling good about themselves, and they know they can beat everybody in this division for sure. So, guess what? We're looking for another Division Two championship as we go to Kelowna for games starting on the 10th of March.
And a team that lost, of course, a lot of significant talent from last year
Oh,
ended up bringing in quite a bit of good talent back in terms of Brock Vauden, who had 86 points in 45 total games this year. Max Faulkner, a plus 30 goal scorer at 33 goals. A few at 20, and then a few over 10, just taking a look at the numbers. 7 goal scorers with at least 10 goals on this year's team. And then, of course, solid goaltending once again. Excited to see how they do in their playoffs starting off on March 10th for the U15s. As for the U17 prep, Buffalo's Gordie will talk about their past weekend of action as they went up against Indigenous Sports Academy. Came away with a split, same exact score in both games, 4-3.
yeah, good game. And again, that's who we line up pretty nicely against when we get into playing against teams in our division. And this has been a battle every year since I've been involved with, and since the Indigenous sports guys came in, which is about 6 years ago. They weren't there the first couple of years, and then all of a sudden there they were, and so it's a good matchup. Two good teams, always playing hard against one another, and good to see our guys able to pick up the second game win in a tough one. We lost the first game in overtime and won the second game in regulation time. So good for our guys to win that and feel good about themselves going in. We This is the group that starts the latest
Yeah.
in the playoffs. We don't get going until March the 18th. So we've got a bit of a wait before we play some games. That doesn't usually hurt our guys. They get on the ice, they get to play some more, bang around a little bit against one another, and then the 2 day bus ride prior to the tournament in Kelowna. All those games are in Kelowna. Lots of hotels, beautiful place to go play hockey. Got a couple of great arenas and facilities, and they've been doing this now for the entirety that I've been involved, and they do a great job of hosting. So looking forward to some more games down there.
Just trying to look at the standings right now, Gordy. As the CSSHL, it's all my hockey rankings, and I like the old layout on the CSSHL website, but that's just me. But in terms of what's on Pilot Mountain's website, they got two more games left, against Saha and then against RHA.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, still a chance to go out and test themselves against pretty good programs coming up
Right.
in terms
Yeah.
of RHA's had themselves a strong season being a top 10 team and then Saha being top six. But for the Buffaloes, not sure how I guess they're going to split up the tiers in terms of the teams. I know with the U18 preps we just went over, they're going to be split into like 16 teams out of the 22 in the Div 1 playoff bracket. But as for this U17 group, no matter what, just looking to finish off their season strong and proving they can compete with these big dogs.
Well, yeah, they they did not make the Division One. We came up short just by one spot. There's 10 teams in the Division One section and 8 teams in the Division Two section. We got, I think, top spot in the Division Two. A couple of points out of making that Division One, which everybody wants to make, even though you got to go against the first round in your first game against the guys at the top. It doesn't matter. You still want to have the pride of making it, but we didn't quite get there. Came up a little bit short, but yeah, but 2 extra games to play against Division One teams, and then we get to play against guys a little bit more in our caliber range, and there we go. So it'll be lots of fun. And we expect a lot from these two guys. And both our two goalies and some of our players were on that U15 team last year that won the Division Two thing. So we're expecting them to have the wherewithal to do the same thing again in the U17 bracket.
Well, the U17s also came away with the championship last season, and of course, before they go back to try to defend their title, they'll be sticking around in Pilot Mountain for 2 games at the Blackjack Stewart Arena on the 6th, so coming up in 3 days, and then on the 11th. The
There you
6th
go.
against Saha, 11th against RHA Winnipeg. As for the female U18 preps to finish off with them, they, of course, didn't play any games over the past weekend. Looking to regroup from, of course, a bit of a rough end to their weekend, but still came away with a victory to start off the last time they played. So going up against RHA Winnipeg, pride on the line, were able to score 4 goals against them last time. But would you say probably a better defensive effort is in order here for Paladon, given they gave up 9 goals last time out against this team specifically?
Yeah, obviously, you can't give up those kinds of shots and that kind of that kind of competitive thing with a team as good as RHA has been and are usually. And so, yep, more defense, better defense, scoring some goals. And it's kind of funny how that works. Teams that struggle to score, when they finally figure out how to score, the problem with that is they forget that they got a defensive role that they've been pretty good at all season long, but now they're scoring goals. They get all excited. It doesn't matter boys or girls teams, and they go out and they forget to play good defensively. So they forget to combine that. So that's always that transition thing, and that's been going on for as long as I've been involved in hockey, right, forever. And so, yep, just you got to be mindful of your side of the puck. But when you get it, now you know you can score. And I think that's really important to them. They know they can score, but they got to be responsible on their side of the puck. And that's something they forgot a little bit about the last time. they'll figure it out. Good coaching and uh, and the playoffs and will help them to be a little bit more inspired. I think. Excuse me, a little more inspired to play better hockey.
Yeah, and I know last time we talked about how Rory Perrin's going to be a huge factor in their
Mhm.
victories if they do have any success in the postseason. But as for the goaltending side of things, obviously you need to play good in front of your goaltenders, but how truly huge are these goaltenders' performance going to be on this year's Buffalo side with their two really good female netminders?
Well, the two girls are great. I mean, they put up with a lot of shots, a lot of indifference sometimes on the play of some of our players who got better, and that's proved his point as the season's gone along. Yeah, goaltending is the most important position on the team, and that's not just coming from me. That comes from every hockey team there is. If you get good goaltending, you have a chance to win. If you don't get good goaltending to great goaltending, you don't have a chance to win. That's all there is to it. You don't win with people that can't keep the puck out of the goal or inconsistent. The team suffers considerably. So that's that's the way that goes. So we'll just let them try to handle that and figure out just what's going on with the games that they have to play. But the goalies are good, and they will continue to be good as the season progresses.
Of course, Ren Hall, and as well as just taking a look, Ali Adama, looking to be significant factors in this team's postseason, which is going to be starting up pretty soon. But first, they got, of course, their last regular season matchup
Yep.
against RHA Winnipeg coming up shortly here in a few days. Gordie Tumilson, always great to be joined by you. Anything you want to leave our viewers off with that we didn't cover today before we sign off?
No, just good luck to our teams going into the playoffs, and in particular the kids from our U18 team playing this weekend, and probably the girls because they get going just before we get our next visit. So look forward to seeing everybody next week with some good results from our playoffs.
And welcome back into the Buffaloes podcast. Apologies about that, Buffaloes fans. Had a bit of a glitch in the interview with Gordie Tumilson, but happy you were at least able to hear the whole thing. Unlike other times when, for some reason in season 3 in particular, it's just the video I end up exporting ends up muting halfway through without us even doing anything. I'm not even sure what even causes that, to be honest with you. I'm not that technically advanced to figure out what the problem may be with that. Just re-exported and that usually works, but seems like my hair kind of shape-shifted into a different shape too since you last time saw me, and that's a telltale sign. Usually it's time for a haircut, but besides that, back to hockey. The Buffaloes, their U18 preps are going to be starting tomorrow. The first group to get going in the Western Championships here this year in the CSSHL playoffs is they start off by taking on number 1 RHA Kelowna, and then Shawnigan Lake School, as well as BWC Academy, all the way through till Monday, where Tuesday and Wednesday it's going to be determined who they end up facing off against. If you can't make it down, or you're not in the British Columbia area and you're Penticton, be sure to check it out on Flow Sports on Flow Hockey, as that's where all the games will be featured, as these are the prices for a full tournament pass as well as a day pass, and then pretty cool, students aged 18 years or younger will get free admission. And yeah, there's tickets on sale now too. I guess this would be for in person if I'm not mistaken, actually. So yeah, great deals there at the event. Flow Hockey, you can check out what their pricing is on their services as well. And then, of course, the U18 pools, it's divided into four for Division 1 is, yeah, Pilot Mountain's U18 Prep Buffaloes making a huge statement here once again, improving for another year, and Division 1 bound as their postseason gets going tomorrow. As for regular season action, that still needs to get settled due to games being rescheduled for bad weather, those circumstances that unfortunately happened a few times this year. It still leaves a few games left for the male U17 Prep Buffaloes as they'll be taking on South Alberta Hockey Academy as well as RHA Winnipeg at Blackjack Stewart Arena in Pilot Mountain, Manitoba. If you can't make it down, if you're not in the Pilot Mountain area, be sure to watch it on Flow Sports on Flow Hockey. And then as for the female U18 Prep Buffaloes, they play their last regular season game at home as well this weekend against RHA Winnipeg. Puck drops at 2 p.m. this Sunday at Pilot Mountain's home arena. And as for Pilot Mountain Hockey Academy, they're starting their evaluation camps very soon. Next season will be here before you know it, and you may be looking for a place to play. Well, Pilot Mountain may be that next place. Be sure to check them out. Consider them by visiting their website at pilotmountainhockeyacademy.com and pick up the phone if you're interested to. Give them a call. And maybe if you're, say, in the male U18 age category, the prep category, you can try out for their evaluation camp, get some eyes on you from Pilot Mountain at the very least, and yeah, maybe you'll be considered for their male U18 prep program this season as their evaluation camp runs next month, near the end of it, April 24th to the 26th at Blackjack Stewart Arena. And yeah, of course, for the U15 male prep Buffaloes, they won't be starting their playoffs until the week coming up, so next week that is. And yeah, they didn't make it into the top category of playoffs, but still near the top of the second group. And this is a team looking to do a lot of damage in the postseason, much like last year. And to join me to talk about the U15 preps and all other academies, her thoughts on them is Nichole Collins. But before we get into anything else, we also talk about the new U17 program that's officially been accepted for Pilot Mound. They get the green light, which is quite exciting. So it's going to be a great one with Nichole Collins coming up next. Always fun talking to her, and always fun to, do these types of interviews on this edition of the Buffaloes podcast for episode 24, season 3, as Nichole joins the show next.
Pilot Mountain General Manager and Nichole Collins joining this edition of the Buffaloes podcast. Nichole, it's official that the U17 program has been officially announced as an official CSSHL organization. I know the last time I had you on the show, a sort of special announcement type of segment that we talked about this. For it to actually be official, I mean, how amazing is that to see?
Absolutely. The rubber stamp is complete, so we are now going forward with finalizing coach recruitment and student athlete recruitment. So we're excited, we're busy, and we are now very excited to hopefully see some more student athletes transitioning from U15 to U17 or U17 prep and to stay within our program. So that was the ultimate goal, and hopefully we're going to achieve that.
And I know I was talking about this with Gordie Tumilson during our segment for this week's episode, and he was talking about how this is going to be a huge help. And I think we touched on this too, but a huge help of those that aren't quite able to make it to U17 prep will have a chance to likely make that U17 specific program. Talk about the advantages about that again in terms of just trying to grow even more as an academy to offer more space to play now.
Absolutely. So it helps to, excuse me, to finalize or be to make more complete our hockey development pathway. So when you're, 13, 14 years old, you seem to be either 5 feet tall or 6 feet tall or nothing in between. So those who are ready for prep and those who aren't quite ready yet, we have a spot for you on both teams. One isn't necessarily better than the other from a development perspective, but it gives someone the right place and the fit for where they're at in their hockey journey. So we are excited to have both teams be able to compete in the CSSHL in their own divisions, receiving the same development that all the other teams are receiving, and hopefully continue to move up through the various age groups and stay within our program and stay within our school.
In terms of, I mean, you talked about how it's about finalizing the coaching staff and the recruitment phase. This program is going to dive into that, of course, coming up. But what about the financial type of situation in terms of what it's going to look like from that standpoint, from adding on to the dorms and, just budgeting for a whole new team?
Absolutely. So of course, adding on to the dorms isn't cheap, but we've received that notice that we're going forward with that as well. So we hope to break ground around April 1st and add another wing. So that'll be the second of three planned wings on our building, and hope to add maybe the third wing in 2 to 4 years down the road. Just make sure we keep watering the money tree and all the other things. But there's also some economy of scale as well because we have the dining room and the gym and the common areas all built already, commercial kitchen, etc. All the tables and chairs are there for supper, so none of that needs to change. We need to do some scheduling and logistics to figure out when ice time and workouts and whatnot are going to be. Add another, education series session and all of those things that will happen and we'll make it work. But all of the infrastructure is there except for the actual dorm rooms, and that's what we're going to build this spring and hope that it's ready for August 29th move-in.
Well, very exciting times continuing on here in Pilot Mound as its official U17 program. Another one coming to Pilot Mound for the upcoming season. As for this season, it's crazy. We're pretty much at the end of it. I mean, playoffs is starting up already this week. Not quite for the U17s or the U18 female prep Buffaloes, but U15s as well as the U18 male preps will be in action. Starting off with, I guess, the U18s, a program that me and Gordie Tumilson have talked about. So many positive things for them. Bit of a different path coming in as they didn't play any exhibition games, but this has been a group that's been resilient all season long. And another step forward for Anthony Florentino in this program as they've made it into the Tier 1 bracket for the playoffs. What's that been like, coming in and wanting to, continue to see improvements in this academy to see the U18 male preps doing exactly that?
Absolutely. And really to celebrate the successes of all four teams, starting with the U18s because they're the ones going to playoffs first. Making into the top bracket is huge. We lost, as you know, in the Tier 2 finals last year and kind of made a vow that that won't happen again. So let's see what we can do to develop. And they've come a long way. Some of their stats are winning the most games in the season, their first shootout win, beating four top teams in our league this season, NAX, Edge, Stansted in the East. And as well as penalty minutes and goals against average. I think it's a 300% decrease in goals against in the last 3 years. So huge improvements on that team and watching that growth as well as the culture across all four teams for sure. But that team, yeah, excited to see what they do in the playoffs and be the first team going out of four to pave the way and get penticked and ready for the rest of us in the coming weeks.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, just to see how Anthony Florentino has been able to come in and has been able to, learn and guide these Buffaloes along the way, and they've grown together to the point where, yeah, it's another step in a positive direction for this program. The U15 prep Buffaloes have also seen some good success this year, a team that had a lot of talent on their roster last year. They obviously lost that to the older age groups, the programs in the academy. But Colin Fafara and his staff did a great job in recruiting top end talent on this year's team, and again looking to be a force in the Tier 2 division of playoffs. So talk about the U15s, how awesome it is to see them, and what is arguably probably the most skilled divisions we see, just based off of a lot of Winnipeg, not Winnipeg, but Western Hockey League draft picks coming from the CSSHL nowadays.
Absolutely. And for them to be able to compete at that level with so many other teams with higher level draft picks coming their way, really impressed with what those student athletes bring to the table every single game. Always proud of that team in that we are what we'd consider maybe a rural or smaller academy, and how many draft picks we produce in a season is outstanding compared to some of the other rural academies. Um, their growth has been exceptional this year, and I'm in the gym about 5 o'clock every morning, and I always pass two or three of them going to the rink at that time as well. So they get up early, they're putting in the work before they even need to. And for a 13, 14-year-old kid to be able to be that locked in all season and doing their thing and knowing they want to get better and continuing to show up every day makes me pretty proud of that team. And you see it on the ice, you see it on the road. They're just such a good group of kids. All of our kids are, of course. But they're, yeah, young kids that strive to be the best that they can be and look up to the other teams. And they just show so much leadership on and off the ice. And you see how they're moving the puck differently than they were in September, October. And I love being the underdog team that'll show up against somebody like OHA and Edge and hold their own. And that's what we do, and that team does that. And yeah, they're fun to watch for sure. So excited to see what they can do in the Tier 2 playoffs when they get there. They've got their work cut out for them, but hopefully they can pull ahead and bring home some hardware.
And they got, I think, the right stuff to be able to make a run on paper, right? Brock Vaughan has been exceptional this year, but not just him that's been producing, even though the gap is quite wide, but in terms of the points. But there's another 30 goal scorer on this team who has 33 goals, and Max Faulkner, and then a number of players with at least 10 or 20 goals as well. And exciting to see how this program continues to stay competitive against, like you said, a bunch of teams that have high level potential for people to get drafted into the WHL. But as for the U18 female prep Buffaloes, I know that they're not quite done their regular season yet. They'll be starting up playoffs, I believe, second last, if I've read things right. But yeah, a team that obviously, the last few seasons we've talked about how there's been quite a few downs for this team compared to ups, but a team that I feel like, I mean, playoff time, anything can happen. They've certainly shown that they do have the tools to be able to compete against some of the better teams. They've shown it this season. What would you say is, I guess, your expectation or your thoughts about this team heading into the postseason shortly?
For sure. So this was a younger team, definitely a development year. We know we're in a rebuild phase with the female team, and we're looking forward to seeing what that looks like next season. Talking to the female student athletes, they're pumped for playoffs. They too are confident that they can come out looking well in the Tier 2 championships. And I love that how hard they work. They never give up. They have compete like no other. And they are getting better every single game, mentally, physically, moving the puck, etc. So for them to be that excited to get on a bus for 2 days and go and show the world what they can continue to do, I'm excited to see what they do out there and wish them the best of luck. They got nothing to lose, leave it all out there on the ice, and yeah, again, the door is open for them to bring home the hardware too. So they just gotta dig as deep as they can and do what they can do.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe some viewers may disagree with the term I use in terms of calling this group a special group because of obviously the win-loss record looks ugly on paper, but I think it's a special group from the standpoint that like even after losing like 9-0 or the 15 goals they may give up in a game, they're still able to be positive and still fired up about what's to come. And I think to be able to go through that and to have that type of strength to shake it off and move forward says a lot about this group and their maturity and awesome they've been able to make the most out of it. And yeah, you never know what could happen in playoffs. We know for Rick McConnell's group last season, they were able to come away with the only title out of the four teams, even though there were three finalists out of the four programs. They're near the top of I think the tier two division placements for playoffs once again, and with a great opportunity in front of them. A lot of great talent on this team, and Rick McConnell, it seems like him and his coaching staff have a knack for getting the best out of their players come playoff time.
Absolutely. And they're a team. Rick always builds a team of I mean, they're not all farm boys, but they feel like that. A bunch of farm boys that show up and again take it to some of the edge and whatnot once in a while in NAX, and those are fantastic games to watch. I think what we are known for as an academy is building that resilience and that work ethic and the depth in the team. Yeah, we do have some
Well, apparently Nicole froze up at the end, but great to talk to the general manager of Pilot Mound, and congratulations to, of course, the whole academy herself being a huge part of it. But yeah, them bringing in a new team officially, the U17s, and not quite done yet. They're going to be adding another team in, hopefully, in over the next few seasons. So yeah, as for their teams in the academy, all have potential to do damage this year in the postseason. Of course, the U17s trying to run it back in the um, Division 2 U17 Prep Western Championships playoffs, as they were the only team last year to come home with the championship. But as for the U18 male preps, they made it to the final last year, fell short. Same with the U15s. The U15s back again in the Division 2 side of the playoff bracket, and one of the top teams there looking to make a lot of noise. And of course, for the U17s and I mean the U18s, the male preps, they uh, have accomplished their goal of going up a level, as talked about, and now they're looking to shock the world. They've been able to shock teams before this year. Stansted College comes to mind when they were the one seed in that East-West Challenge. Now, RHA Kelowna could be an entirely different animal, right? But you never know what can happen come playoff time, and while this U18 male prep Buffaloes group has had a lot of belief in themselves all season long, and can't wait to see what it's all come to, what it's going to lead to coming up in the postseason, which will of course be starting up tomorrow for Pilot Mound's U18 Prep Buffaloes. We're going to get into a bit more in terms of news from around the academy to end things off. It's going to be just a recap on most of the things we've seen today, but that's coming up next after this commercial break from Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia.
Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia offers the widest selection of sports cards and signed memorabilia in the city. For dedicated casual and new collectors, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia has everything a collector could ask for. Everything we sell is stored with care, and with help from our knowledgeable team, we'll help you find exactly what you're looking for. We carry Upper Deck hockey card brands like Series 1 and 2, the Cup, Ultimate, SPA, and plenty more. So what are you waiting for? Come down to Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, Winnipeg's premier sports cards and memorabilia store.
Welcome back into the Buffaloes podcast, the official Pilot Mound Hockey Academy podcast, as we're pretty much into playoff time at this point in the season. But first off, before some of the teams from Pilot Mound get to playoffs, they have to finish off their regular season. As for the male U17 Prep Buffaloes, which, I mean, this all works out for them. This has all been planned out, so of course this is still within the regular season timeline, because they're actually going to be the last age group to get going, as their postseason starts on March 18th and runs until the 22nd. They're going to be taking on South Alberta Hockey Academy and Rink Hockey Academy Winnipeg, as the Buffaloes look to build up even more confidence heading into their first set of playoff games. Of course, going to be in that Tier 2 division, as mentioned, of postseason. As for the female U18 Prep Buffaloes, they know where they stand. They're in the Division 2 bracket of the Western Championships on the female U18 Prep side. They'll be starting on Friday and going all the way through the weekend up until the 17th. Their playoff schedule isn't set yet. They take on a huge rival in RHA Winnipeg to end things off in their regular season, and looking for any positives I think possible, but even without that, this has been a confident group all season long. A team that has been able to get a few more wins down the line this season too. It's going to start with their goaltending come postseason. They're going to need their big-time players to step up, most notably Rory Perrin, but overall they're going to have to play to their identity to a T. Defense first, try to help out their goalies as much as possible and hope that the opportunities come their way. And what better way to end off your regular season at home against your biggest rival, and a chance to maybe shock them heading into your postseason in Penticton. As for Pilot Mountain, once again, if you are looking for a place to play next year, they now have a U17 program. So not just U17 Prep, but U17. Gordie Tumilson's talked about it. Same with Nichole Collins, how it's more so for the players that aren't quite prep ready. They have a chance to still develop as a Buffalo. If you are skilled enough, you can make one of those two teams. The odds are even higher now with two U17 teams, so be sure to check that out at pilotmountainhockeyacademy.com. They have a bunch of stuff on social media. Get in touch with Isaac, of course, and phone number is right there for you to call to. So Isaac Friesen is the man to reach. Be sure to reach out if you're interested in potentially becoming a Buffalo next season. As for the male U18 prep evaluation camp, the date officially announced for April 24th to the 26th, so still well over a month away, but time flies by. So if you're interested, you'll have a chance to not only get on the ice, but check out Pilot Mound Hockey Academy, their facilities, and all those good things, and you'll get an opportunity like Brody Witink, who has had a chance to go to the MJHL, and the MJHL, there's been many players that have had opportunities beyond just junior hockey. So definitely worth a look if you're looking for somewhere to play. The CSSHL, highly competitive league as well. As for the U15, their postseason pool for the Western Championships, as down in Penticton, they're going to be starting up on March 10th, so that's going to be coming up in 4 days for the Buffaloes at their U15 preps, and that's going to be on the Tuesday that their playoffs will start there. The top seed in Pool B of Division 2, RHA Kelowna, Notre Dame, as well as PCHA, all in that pool. All action can be seen on Flow Hockey, on Flow Sports, and as for the U15s, a team with a lot of talent this year, led by Brock Vauden, but still some good talent around him, solid goaltending for that group as well, and potential to do a lot of damage in Division 2 this year at the Western Championships, as they're looking to get back to the title game. And, postseason, can't wait to talk about the results, hoping there's some positives at least, but at the very least, I'm hoping that the U18 male preps can give the teams they're going against a run for their money and prove that they can stick with them and prove that they belong, no matter what the scores may say. But join us next week, as hopefully we don't have any more behind the scenes stuff that slows us down. It's just been one of those years transitioning into covering, for sure over 55 teams, including Pilot Mound, with our expansion into being the exclusive broadcast partner of the Winnipeg High School Hockey League this year, which yeah, congratulations to the Oak Park Raiders on winning the championship there against the defending champion Vincent Massey Trojans, which Oak Park lifting a league title for the first time in 10 years. But as for Pilot Mound, their U17 preps, they lifted a title not that long ago, just last year in Penticton. U18 male preps and U15 male preps were close. The female U18 preps, didn't come away with any sort of, hardware finals. They were the one team to miss, but it is a different year, and as mentioned, I think that team could potentially shock the teams they're going against if they stick to their identity, because anything can happen in the postseason, and, well, we'll see if the male U18 Buffaloes can go out and shock RHA Kelowna and the rest of the teams in their pool over the weekend on the road to potential championship glory. I've been your host, Graham, the G Show Forsyth. Special thanks to Nichole Collins and Gordie Tumilson for taking the time and joining this edition of the podcast, especially Nichole with all of the work she does behind the scenes for the Academy, and then not just her job with Pilot Mound, but other things too, in terms of business stuff. And I mean, Gordie Tumilson, always great to have him on the show and for him to be available. And yeah, special thanks to you, the viewer, for tuning in. Without you, we wouldn't be able to really make this show happen, as you keep us going. Same with our sponsors in goaltenders, Movement Fitness and Performance, Elite Prospects, Can Central Sports Cards and Memorabilia, as well as Terrico. Tyson Unro's going to send us off with his March of the Buffaloes theme, as always. And until next week, Buffaloes fans, when we'll continue to talk postseason hockey, Pilot Mound Hockey Academy edition. We'll see you then. Take care.